Hello, viewer. Well, just over there is that concrete base of the burnt out shed, which we removed. In front of it here is the remains of what was probably a bonfire, which may be why the shed caught fire in the first place. But anyway, I say a bonfire. The previous people who lived here just seemed to bring all sorts of stuff out here and just throw it on a pile and burn it. And there's a lot of it still left here. Now, a usual French way of dealing with this is dig a hole, put the stuff in the hole, cover it up. But I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to collect up whatever I can of the rusty cans, the glass bottles, broken glass. If there's plastic bottles still here, I'll put those in a separate bag. I'll just collect up as much as I can at the moment and take it to the dump. On we go. Needless to say, it's all grown over with all of these weeds, which doesn't help. Unbelievable, these bottles are just buried. It must be years worth of boozing. Not that I'm averse to a bit of boozing. A lot of this is so rusted that, to be honest, a couple more seasons in the ground and they'd just be dust, which might not be a bad thing to do with it. A cylinder head, seriously? That would take a little bit longer to go. Mussel shells. Strictly speaking, compostable. So when you have a fire and it's hot enough, your beer bottles change shape. Fantastic. So your drinking glass changes shape too. Perfect. Actually, that's an old mustard pot. Well, to be honest, I think that's it. I think the rest of it is so degraded it can just be mixed in with the ground and turned back into powder. Couple more Ricoré tins. Okay, that'll do for the moment. I'm going to take this lot off to the dump. I've got 2 large bags of the ivy that I took off the end wall of the bread oven. So that's, the dump's open today. Oh. So here's my plan. This is a Ryobi strimmer, which is supposed to have a plastic string that goes round, but out there, the plastic string just isn't going to do it. So I found one of these, which is a rotating disc with little sort of knives around the outside. I mean, what could go wrong? Now, that spindle and that head rotate because of the motor. So in an ideal world, we want this to be on there. However, as you can see, the hole there is bigger than that. But that can be fixed with a socket. So that socket fits on there really nicely. And that fits on there really nicely. So we need to get a washer which will hold it in place. Now what I had used was these, which go over there quite well. But since the socket is slightly proud of this disc, holding that only held the washer, hold the socket, so this continued to spin and it should be locked on. So that didn't work. So what we've got is one of these. So that goes over there and holds the disc and doesn't butt up against the socket. Then we've got a locking nut and a normal washer. So the normal washer goes on there. The locking nut goes on next, or does it? Well, let's see. Let's turn it the other way around. Okay, let's try it without the locking nut, which in French is rondelle éventail. Come on. No, needs another nut, another washer rather. So I don't think We've got room for a locking nut and a washer. So let's just try a second washer. Ooh. So that's tight. When the head moves, the disc moves. I think we've cracked it. So it's a shame we can't put a locking nut in there, but I think we'll survive. Excuse me. I reckon that's good to go, assuming the petrol's okay. And because these things, strimmers like to have two-stroke petrol, we have here a mixing bottle. And that, it wants to be 50-1. And seeing as this mixing bottle is not as clear as I would have wanted, sugar, too much. I'll pour some out. Oh. Of course, you can't pour any out. Yeah. Oh well, I'm just going to have to hope that it works. So in the meantime, I'm going to carry on with denailing these planks and those planks and finding the ones which are too woodwormy to cut up for firewood, keeping the ones which are not so woodwormy. Well, that was all right. It's cleared up a lot of the wood. It's tidied some of it away and made it safe. I have loads that I can cut up and burn. Not that it's really burning weather at the moment. It's 27 degrees centigrade today. I'll put a Fahrenheit figure up there. Tomorrow, another day, I'll get on and start on the digging out the stone wall in the vestibule. That'll be, you might see a bit of perspiration, possibly. Just saying, you might want to miss that one. Anyway, all good. On to the next one. Oh.